All right, so good morning, Grand Rising, whichever fulfills your soul today. I am here to chat with you about some things about the pandemic and what I've learned. But if this is your first time with me, my name is Vanessa Walker. I am a content designer and owner of Designs by V Walker. So today's topic is top things the pandemic taught me, and it's of course from an entrepreneur standpoint, but I'm going to give it to you today from the perspective of a corporate sales professional, because a lot of things has happened that helped me be really successful during this time, or during that time when it first started, that I've been able to translate into my entrepreneurial journey. So it's something that, of course, I'm really excited to share with you. And I'm going to share with you 5 things. But of course, I have some more for you if you subscribe to me, subscribe to my newsletter. Make sure to go to the link in my bio. And I'm going to give you a total of 10 that we're going to talk about. And hopefully a lot of these things will translate for you as well. And if something sparks and is, something you're learning brand new, please make sure to leave a comment for me below and we'll definitely chat about it. But let's go ahead and get into it, because again, like I promised, I'm not going to make this one super long, just so I can get back to my minions this morning. All right, so 5 things that the pandemic has taught me as a corporate sales professional that I'm able to translate now into my entrepreneurial journey. Building relationships is top priority. Top priority. Making sure that you genuinely know who your tribe is, building a community, and it is especially important when you do that on social media. So you don't feel weird, sliding into someone's DMs trying to slightly pitch them to become a customer or a client for you and have them buy or hire from you. Like, you don't want it to be awkward, essentially. We're in the age now where you don't just randomly DM people when they like your photo or when they when they comment within one of your posts. Back when I was doing network marketing, that was a strategy, right? If you put up a particular post and how many ever people end up liking that post, you kind of DM'd each one of them asking for them to join your team or purchase that product or anything like that, versus allowing them to organically come to you and have a conversation with you about it. Now, can you still find ways to kind of have those cold DMs? Yes. But building rapport is one of the first things you need to do in order to make it a warm lead. You no longer just start with your pitch. One of the things that we learned, or that I learned very quickly in being a corporate sales professional, don't just randomly just walk into, a customer and just start pitching everything. You got to understand a little bit about them, right? I'll say that this is probably one of the best things that I'm really good at, is building rapport. I do get to know you on a personal level, so it does feel comfortable. And during the pandemic, the best part of this is I was able to lean on those relationships, right? I was able to lean on them to where that sales cycle was a lot shorter. They felt really comfortable coming up and texting me or emailing me orders, letting me know what they were needing, asking my advice. It's because I've already got to know them and understand them from, a personal level, like what is their buying motives, what are their vision and goals for their programs, things like that. And so having that already established helped me make really good sales in Q4 when the pandemic first started. Now, for new people, I had to be incredibly creative when it came to building this rapport, right? So making sure we do virtual meetings, or, I call you directly and things like that, getting to, and within the first few minutes, we're still having that opportunity to get to know each other. I had an awesome consultation yesterday where the beginning of it, we were talking about our talking about our kids, and both trying to apologize. Like, if you hear my kids in the background, and then of course it just went on to, mom life and being an entrepreneur at the same time. And you don't have to make this a long situation. I mean, that part of the conversation was probably no more than 5 minutes, but I got to know a lot about her very quickly. But it's allowing her to just naturally speak to me and feel comfortable. So then the rest of the conversation, when I'm sharing with her my packages, I'm trying to understand like what she needs, things like that. I've already built that like, know, and trust factor with her, and she feels good in moving forward with me. Another aspect to that is that those are amazing referrals. Again, back to the girl that I was chatting with yesterday. She had already attempted to refer many women to me before she even became a client herself. And, when she was telling me like, oh yeah, I referred such and such, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was you. That they told me that they were referred by somebody, but they didn't tell me who. It was awesome to see that through social media, I was able to, like I said, build that like, know, and trust with her, that she felt comfortable referring some of her friends to me who ended up becoming clients. So top priority, hands down, number one thing you should be focused on when putting your business on social media is building a community or a tribe, and so people feel comfortable with you, and then convert to a client. So number 2, finding new ways to reach and connect. So again, going back to, my corporate life, we really started to push LinkedIn and getting to know our customers from a different level, and really trying to reach them any way that we could. Now, when it came to my design business, obviously for me, all of my clients are right here on social media, right? Because essentially anyone that has a business on social media could utilize my services in any way. And so of course I'm going to meet you here. But I learned very quickly that also a lot of my clients here use other platforms that I just got to get on board with. So Facebook is one of them, right? If I wanted to reach a different type of entrepreneur, I do have to somewhat be active on Facebook. So I do have a business page, same name, Designs by V Walker. And, I have told myself in these next couple of months, I'm going to change it up a little bit on how I utilize that page, because right now I push everything from Instagram over to Facebook, and I really don't, customize it to the Facebook follower. So it is something that I have an opportunity in, but it's something that I learned very quickly during the pandemic, is that people are more open to meeting you in other places. Clubhouse is another excellent place. During the pandemic, it was an incredible hit, and I actually got many clients from Clubhouse. And the funny thing is I've never spoken on Clubhouse, but following somebody and then bringing back the conversation to Instagram, because that's kind of what Clubhouse, in my mind, makes you do, right? Instead of if you can't have an individual conversation with someone, you end up pulling it back onto Instagram. But I met many people that way, or many clients that way, where they asked a question on Clubhouse and I was like, oop, I know how to fix that. And we started something on Instagram, and it wasn't even always like my services. It was, oh, let me give you my business tip, right? Something that works great for me, or agreeing with what they heard on Clubhouse or anything like that. So I actually got, to be honest with you, I actually got my very first client from Clubhouse, because, we had something in common, of being a multiple mom, right? So I have twins, she has triplets. We brought the conversation on Instagram, and it was completely organic. I didn't even pitch my business to her. She ended up coming full circle, come back to me and say, hey, I noticed on your page, this is what you do. Am I interpreting that correctly? And the answer was yes. And she became my first client. You just never know what can blossom from meeting your client or your customers on these other platforms outside of just Instagram. So meet them where you might think that they are. Like, I had another client where it was very obvious her clients were on LinkedIn. So we had to find a way to make her content appropriate for LinkedIn, because that content looks very different than what it would look like on Instagram. So just mold yourself, but also stay true to what is going on within your business, because at the end of the day, authenticity is what's going to sell. But make sure you find a way to feel comfortable on these other platforms. Now, I'm going to give a disclaimer. I'm not saying join every social media platform out there. That is not what I'm saying. Because, I'll be honest with you, don't tell the whole world this, but I don't have a TikTok. I still do not, even though Reels is one of my things, I still don't have a TikTok. I don't have a Twitter, right? I have a LinkedIn only because my corporate job asks me to have one. I have a Facebook group, because I know that is one place that I do know that some of my other clients will be at. I'm on Pinterest, but not for business, right? So it's things like that. Just kind of don't overstretch yourself. Only go where you feel comfortable. So I wanted to give that asterisk of a disclaimer, don't feel you need to be on every platform possible. All right, so number 3, focus on high quality versus quantity. So this can go in many different directions, right? So one of the directions you can take this is the way that you prospect, right? So like I said, having cold DMs, that is not always the way now, right? A lot of the way that you'll connect with your followers is through comments under your content. It will be during lives just like this, or they come to you and they have a question for you, and in your DMs, right? Because a lot of the times when you ask me a question under a post, normally I'll answer you right there. But then if you keep the conversation going, after about 2 to 3 replies, I'm taking this to a DM, right? Not saying that everybody wouldn't want to see our conversation, but I do want to isolate you and have a conversation with you on your specific need. Let's dive into that a little bit more. And then if I feel that it's strong enough, I'll make it a piece of content, right? I'll later on oh, that was a really good idea. Let me make that as a piece of content. Because if your question went in that direction, I know so many people may have the same type of question. So that's sometimes how I get my content ideas, is by the questions that you ask me. Or I have some people just flat out say you need to make this, and I'm like, oh, okay. But at the end of the day, it's all about having high quality opportunities with your followers to connect them to clients, right? So another example of that is we are no longer in the world of having to post 7 days a week, 2 times a day, and living on Instagram all day. That no longer exists. Now you can, and I'm transitioning into this right now, because normally I was posting 5 days a week, just once a day, but 5 days a week, and then having the live on Saturday every morning. But now I'm going to scale it down even more. I'm probably only going to post 3 times a week, because again, mentally my mind goes to the grid, right? So every week you have a new piece of the grid for me. So I probably only post 3 times a week, and then show up on the live for the fourth day. And of course, every day I'll still find a way to show up in my stories, but for the most part, I'm still scaling back, because I want to give you better quality content and really spend time on it, versus trying to, when I batch create, I want to be able to really dig into the conversation, so it's crystal clear. Videos like this, I'm learning that it takes a lot to edit one of these videos. And so, really making it available to Instagram and for those on my e-newsletter. And I'm dabbling now in YouTube, because that's the way that I'm repurposing this video for my subscribers for my newsletter. So trying to figure out how to properly do that, that takes time. So giving you high quality content, I can't post 7 days a week, right? But when I do post, it's going to be good shots of really good conversations that I hope all of you find value in and can utilize in your business, or it ends up encouraging you to become a client of mine. So, that's another angle that you can take, focus on high quality versus quantity. In the beginning, when I was first starting my design business, I was pumping maybe at least 6 days a week, 2 times a day. I was posting at 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. like every day. It was a burnout. And I remember last week, it was either last week or the week before when on a live, we had that conversation of like, scale it down. And, one of the girls mentioned when she started scaling down, her page actually blew up because now people were able to digest her content even better because she's just not flooding your timeline with so much content. So even with prospecting, make sure that, it's high quality folks that you really genuinely feel that can become a customer for you, right? So you're just not DMing everybody. Do a little bit of research of the person, take a look at their feed, see what their business is about. So now when you have a conversation, you can instantly talk to their business and say, oh yeah, I noticed that you do X, Y, and Z. I would really love to learn a little bit more about it and see if I can be of some service to you or a benefit to you in your business or something like that. So then number 4, really understand the problem that your customer is having. So this kind of goes back to how you interact with your followers, with your clients and customers. Are you just assuming what their problem is, right? Or have you really done some research to understand what their problem is and how you genuinely can be a solution? Right? So being a content designer, I can actually probably solve many different problems, but I do focus on time management, creativity, right? So my client, I have an ideal client. She's either one or two girls. She either doesn't have the time. She can do this, right? She can create her own content. She believes, she has the ability to do it more so, but she doesn't have the capacity because she doesn't have time. Time is her biggest problem. So something that would take you 3 hours, maybe only take me 20 minutes. And which is okay because essentially you're not paying me for my time. You're paying me for my knowledge and my abilities and how I can help you scale your business. That's kind of where my conversation goes. But I do start with, hey, I understand. I've seen you many times talk about how you just don't have the time. You're a mom, a wife, full-time corporate woman. You're trying to start a business. Your husband is also trying to start a business and you're trying to support him as well. Your kids are going through virtual school, whatever that ends up looking like. So your life is like all over the place. But you really want to find a way to really scale your business on this thing called social media, and you just don't have time. Vanessa, I need you to make me 30 pieces of content and help me like organize my feed, and we'll go from there. Boom, that's one solution. The other person may not really understand how to organize an image to make it productive, right? Or make it attractive enough for someone to want to actually go onto their profile and dig a little bit more. So that's the creativity standpoint. I'm helping you understand, okay, this is kind of what I've seen works. So I create that type of person. I create templates, right? So you can reuse them over and over again. So you feel good. So I've done enough research to where I know those are my two girls, right? So when it talks about really understanding the problem, have you had genuine conversations with your current customers and saying, hey, did I really answer your problem, right? Do you feel that I was really listening? That's why consultations are so important. And I even require you to fill out one additional questionnaire before our consultation, just because it helps you focus your mind when we have our conversation. So you're not just talking about everything. It's one of those things that is incredibly clear of what we're going to talk about, right? So some of the business questions that I ask you is, who is your ideal client? Do you even know, right? What platforms are you using? What platforms are you interested in using? Who is currently making your content? What is your overall vision when at the end of our project? What do you want to achieve? Things like that you really have to understand prior to having the conversation with me. And so, not saying that I can't help guide you through that, but it gives you time to really think about it. Like, oh man, I really don't know who my ideal client is. So it gives you a moment to, okay, when I talk to Vanessa now and talking about what designs I need, my strategy is very clear, or maybe I just need a little bit more advice here to kind of see how can I fine tune my strategy. But at the end of the day, you're not coming to me as a blank canvas. So that's why I give that questionnaire, so I really understand what your problem is. I mean, it's very clear that questionnaire that I give, it's very clear what your problem is, because I flat out ask you. And I even give you the opportunity to tell me something else if for whatever reason, I give you like 6 options. If one of those 6 options just ain't it, like, you're definitely not one of my ideal clients, because you're probably just wanting me to be your social media manager if it's not one of those prompts. But that's okay. But at least you know where our conversation is going to go, because it's not there. Or when you realize the comment that you put in there is really off base from any of the prompts that I give you, then I kind of understand whenever the consultation goes, that's where my eye goes to first. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a different conversation unless I'm just not unless it just wasn't written exactly how she needed it, and maybe she was just rambling and not really sure of how to tell me. So that's why the consultation is important, because I can uncover a little bit more. But definitely try to do some market research. Stories is a great place to do some market research, where you can ask this or that question, or put polls or ask open-ended questions and people answer on that sticker, things like that. And people, especially now with the pandemic, people are, as the customer, they're doing their own research, right, prior to becoming your customer. So they really want to know that you know how to answer their problem. And again, that goes back to like, know, and trust. Do they trust that you genuinely will understand what they need and that you can provide it? Which leads me into the last one, number 5. Foresee your customers' objections. This is one of the things that I will say hands down was the hardest thing for me. And I straight up learned this from my boss. And I actually learned this prior to the pandemic, but it became even more prominent when the pandemic happened, because it was either you want it or you don't. There was no more like begging. There was no more like, please, 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 like, how can I, move things around to try to make this still work for you? It's either you want it or you don't. And if you don't, that's okay. Maybe I can help you in another area. So this is an example of foreseeing your customers' objections, which my old boss used to call steer into the crash. So for me, and a lot of folks that have high ticket items, right? I do believe some of my packages are considered high ticket items in comparison, right? To what I'm used to. They're high ticket to me. But I give you a lot within those packages. Like, I'm doing a lot for you. And that's the goal. I want you to whenever we're finished with our project, I want you to walk away feeling really good about Instagram, Facebook, or whatever platform that you're using, and really understand that, like, okay, I still have the support of Vanessa if I have a question. So I've had many consultations where it's come to talking about the price. And price is always people's first objection. And so, or kind of sometimes, just depending on the conversation, but price is normally like one of the biggest objections that you're ever going to come across. And it's okay to answer the question, like, I really don't understand or see the value of why this item cost X amount of dollars. And it's okay to say, hey, I completely understand that this is high ticket, and you may not have all the money up front. So that's why I only ask for a retainer at first. And if I need to put the rest of it on a payment plan, I can do that as well. But for the most part, it's the retainer, and then everything else is due at the end. But it's one of those things where I understand this is considered an investment within your business. And maybe you're not there yet within your business, that you're able to financially reinvest back into your business. I understand, that's okay. No matter what, I'm still available to you to answer questions. But when it comes to actually completing a project for you, this is what it is. There are some other things that maybe I can share with you in order to get you started. Maybe we do a different package, and maybe I change one thing from it just to kind of help benefit you. But at the end of the day, these are my packages, and I will always be here whenever you're ready. And that's it. That's it. There is no, well, please, can you please buy from me? I mean, like, I'll do whatever you need and you're begging. Like, it's okay. A lot of the times when, one way that I steer into the crash for you is I tell you up front here on Instagram a lot of the things that I do for you. And I'm telling you, I never tell you that it costs $5. I'm never telling you that it's going to cost $5, and that's okay. And because I know my value, I know what I'm providing you, and I know what the return that you're going to receive once we're finished with our project. So let me bring it to my corporate life, because this is something that, I do with all the time. One of the things is, again, understanding the value of something. And so I'm an account executive where I help businesses with their health and safety programs, right? And one of the things that my job is to help foresee, like, they feel they can do it on their own. And the answer is you absolutely could. You absolutely could do this yourself. But the reason why I'm here is because you find value in being able to get back to business and allowing me to take this off of your plate. So the objection is I can do this on my own, and the way that I overcome it is, agreeing, right? My mom used to always say, just agree. Yes, you're right. Agree, but then also share your value. So yes, I agree, Mrs. Whomever, that you can do this by yourself. Matter of fact, I know you would do an excellent job. But the reason why you're utilizing our you've considered utilizing our services is, one, we specialize in this and we do this every day. So not only are you paying for the product, but you're paying for our knowledge, because we're going to always make sure that you're OSHA and ANSI compliant. Another aspect is we're literally going to do this for you, and we're going to partner with you in regards to this program. But at the end of the day, you can trust us that we're going to make sure that your program is up to par exactly how you want it. You set the foundation of your vision, and we abide by it. And so those are the things that you're going to receive in utilizing our services. And also, you'll be supported by a Fortune 100 company where we do this every day. We have different layers within our business that we're able to assist you. So compliance and training in our other areas as well that we can assist. And again, we're taking that off your plate so you can get back to business and get back to focus on making money. Boom. Right? Because you have to understand sometimes, or I have to understand more so, that, a lot of the decision makers that I work with, their job is not to save money, it's to make money. And so what are some things that are going on within their business that's holding them back from making money? And sometimes it's dealing with what they would consider small things, where for us, that's what we do every day, and it's not considered small. We take it very seriously. So let us take that off of your plate. So back to being an entrepreneur, it's the same way. Do you really understand the problem? And can you foresee what that person would consider as an objection? Right? And so that same objection can go to me, like, you can do it yourself. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But the reason why you're hiring me is, one, you don't have the time, or two, you get frustrated because you're spending 3 hours making one piece of content when you're really trying to create a carousel and it's going to take you 2 days to get it together. Right? So that's not bragging or anything. That's just what my business is offering you. And so I feel comfortable in being able to say that to any client or prospective client that's coming my way. So it's one of those things where, as long as you feel good and you genuinely believe within your business, there is no objection you can't overcome. And a lot of the times it is good to say it up front. Why do some people, or why was I so nervous in doing this, is because you almost feel like you're exposing yourself and you're almost outselling yourself. And that's really not the case, because you want your client to understand that you know them enough, that you understand what some of their objections are going to be, and that you've already thought it through, and that you'll be able to take care of that. And so that's you being an expert, that's what I'm coming to you for, is that you understand all the different layers and aspects of my business, that you'll be able to be the true solution for me. So don't be scared to, say some things up front, and not make it like part of the unknown, or like it should be, it's common knowledge, because, I don't know much about your business. So that's why I'm coming to you, because I consider you as the expert. So of course you don't want to put all your cards on the table, but when it comes to objections, you kind of want to nip them quickly, and while you're having your consultation, if an objection comes up, you isolate it and you talk about it. Well, let's pause for a second and let's really get over this, because if you can't, in your mind, you're not saying this part to them, but like if they can't get over this objection, you're never going to sell them. So it is important to quickly get over it, and help them understand that like you are still the solution at the end of the day. So, those are my top 5 things that I've learned during the pandemic, that's really helped me as a corporate sales professional, and really has helped me translate that into my entrepreneur business, where, I'm able to grow my business really fast. Y'all have to remember, I started this business during the pandemic. I haven't even fully hit a year yet, within Designs by V Walker, but I would like to say I have success within my business. And, my Instagram, by the way that the conversations that we're having, the tribe that we're building here, that also lets me know that, it's becoming a success. Now, of course, my metrics of what I consider success may be different from yours. Right? So it's not always about the dollar. At the end of the day, I understand we are here to make money, but the fact that, many of you feel comfortable in having a conversation with me and really being able to come to me and ask me questions, that's success to me, right? You consider me as an expert. That's success to me. Another version of success is that when you actually feel good and clicking that link in my bio, that lets me know that I've converted you over to consider to hire me. Right? And so now it's my job to really isolate and make sure I take care of you as an individual, when I get you on the phone. So, these are the things that I hope can benefit you as well. And like I said, there's 5 more that I want to share with you. So make sure to subscribe to my newsletter. That link is also within my bio. And on Monday, we'll go a little bit more and talk about some of the other things that I really think the pandemic has required many of us, on how to adapt and adjust and meet you as the customer where you are. So I hope this benefits you. I'll make sure the replay of this is available to you on Tuesday. And if you are a member of the newsletter, you'll get the longer version of this. So on Instagram, I can only put 15 minutes. So I got to shrink it down. So I'll make sure that you still get good quality out of this. But definitely let me know if you have any questions about, the business side of social media. And that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. I hope y'all have a wonderful Saturday. And I'll see you later on the gram. Bye.